At 5 o'clock this evening, it's England in action against Ukraine. Will it be 5 wins from 5 in qualifying for Euro 2024? Victory tonight would see them on the brink of next summer's finals. They are top of Group C. They are 6 points ahead of Ukraine, who do have a game in hand. The top 2, remember, will qualify. And if England win this evening, their place at the finals could even be confirmed as soon as Tuesday, depending on other results in the group. Let's talk England then, and this is the squad that was named for this fixture in the friendly with Scotland on Tuesday. I mean, Darren, there are players missing. We know that Trent Alexander-Arnold's pulled out, Grealish has pulled out, the likes of Stones and Shaw and others missing too. But Southgate's probably trying to really home in on his squad now for next summer. For you, what's his biggest area of concern? What area of the pitch?
I mean, centre-half is probably the obvious one with Harry Maguire. John Stones not being there. Harry Maguire, real lack of minutes. I mean, you talk about a guy who's not played any minutes this year. That would be probably the biggest concern, because it's almost like, what do? Do you keep playing him and giving him minutes, or do you try and look for alternatives? Because I think you've got the alternatives there. Mark Gay, he's had a good season at Crystal Palace. I like Levi Colwill, did really well at Brighton last season. There are options there. Lewis Dunk at Brighton, of course. Do you just keep giving him minutes because he's never let you down, or do you have to look for alternatives? Because I don't believe you can pick a player who hasn't played any minutes in a season for a major competition. I think you can get away with it with the likes of Ukraine, and that's no disrespect to Ukraine, but these type of games. But when you get down to the crunch of it, the thick of it, he's got to have a plan B, or it's that he might become unstuck. But I think that would be the one area I'd look at and go, have we got enough options, and have we seen enough players in that position? Because I don't think we have.
It's also the fact that we're early in the season, but Gary, if Harry Maguire is still not getting much action in 6 months from now, start of next year with the tournament months away, can he still play for England? Start every game?
Well, he can, but whether he's going to play for England effectively enough for us to win the tournament, because that's the pressure now, isn't it? Having got to very close in the last few big tournaments that we have. I think it's always difficult, isn't it, when you look at... You can see, obviously, he's got a good connection with Maguire, having been his captain for a while. You can see that sort of emotional bond, and as a manager, it's, I'm sure Neil will say the same, but sometimes you get players where you feel like you really want to pick them and you trust them. And sometimes it's not necessarily based on the soundest of judgment, but you just have a feeling they're going to do it, as opposed to someone like a Tomori that's been playing really well for AC Milan in European football as well in the Champions League, and looks to be, someone who could go in alongside someone like John Stones and form a really good partnership. But that's a challenge, and as a national team manager, unfortunately, you're the one getting judged, and you get judged by those big decisions, whether they're right or wrong.
I mean, you talk about Southgate trusting him implicitly, Neil. Does the fact that he is still starting every game, put that on one side, also point to the fact that Southgate's not convinced by the options of players coming through trying to challenge for that place?
I don't know if he's not convinced. He should be. Gary's just touched on Tomori. Played in the semi-final of the Champions League, played for AC Milan, the top of Serie A at the minute. Play him. Harry's depreciating all the time, Jules. Every week, every month, the less he plays. You need those minutes on the pitch. And the other thing is he's under much more scrutiny than anybody else, because there'll be this sort of, perspective. He's a pet. He's Southgate's favourite. And there is an argument to that. But, I've watched Harry, over the last sort of 18 months, and he's not getting enough game time. And it's not enough. I don't know how Gareth can still justify picking him in the squad, first of all, and picking him over other players. And for Harry's own sake and career, he needs to get out and play regular first-team football at the highest level that he can, because it doesn't look like he's going to get much game time at Manchester United.
Do you know as well, it's almost not doing him any favours either.
He's under scrutiny all the time.
Every single time
if he goes in and he makes a mistake,
yep.
He's going to be under the spotlight again. He's going to come under all this criticism. And I just think, if he'd been out for maybe 6 weeks or something like that, I could understand it. But this has been over the course of maybe 10, 12, 18 months now, not playing regular for Manchester United, where these guys are all playing regularly for Premier League teams or Serie A teams or teams at the highest club level.
I think what's the point in bringing these youngsters in? I mean, these are the future of England. You're still putting and playing Harry Maguire. It's a great point. The scrutiny, the spotlight's always on him, and the media, the hype that goes on with him. Why not play some of these youngsters if you're bringing them into the squad? I get that, just nurturing them in and getting a feel of being... But they've played Premier League, they've played Champions League. A lot of these young players now, they fit the bill to come straight in. and get used to playing international football, particularly where they stand in the league currency now. They've more or less won it, so why not give these youngsters a real
it's almost
good
like saying
opportunity?
that, and I don't believe it's the case that the team's not going to be weaker by playing Lewis Dunk or Tomori. As you said, that Tomori's playing Champions League football. You can't tell me by taking Maguire out and putting Tomori in there that England, they appreciate the squad's not as good, because you can't, because he's playing every single week. And
you look at the same with Mark Gay, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, he's in the squad, but he plays every week.
Yeah.
And they've started the season decent. They've got 7 points this season. He's playing every week. He will be playing, whatever happens, at a better level than Harry Maguire at the minute, because he's not playing football.
I suppose once you take
He'll be
him
in
out,
better shape.
I suppose once you take him out, the challenge then is you're probably then under a lot more pressure to then put him back in. So, do you know what I mean? If you did do that.
Yeah,
So I
but
think
Gary, you can only get back in if he's playing and he's on
Yeah.
form and he's showing the levels he was showing maybe 2 years
And that's
ago.
my point.
And
Is he going to get? Is he ever going to? We don't know what he's like at the moment. Harry Maguire, because he doesn't play. So if he was playing every week, would he even get in the squad in merit over Tomori, Colwill, and Gay? Is he better than them three?
But I suppose what I'm saying is it's a very defining moment the minute you take him out the starting 11, because he's probably then not going to get back in it. I'm not saying that's not the right decision, but maybe Southgate's at the moment thinking, I'm just going to keep sticking with him and just seeing how it goes. You know?
It's not just in this area, though, is it? With Gareth Southgate, it's the history of it is how he picks players like this. Because you look at midfield, you said about where's the real problems, but you really look at he's having to call up, or he has called up. Calvin Phillips hasn't played any football as a holding midfield player. We've just spoke about Ward-Prowse.
Yeah.
I mean, he started 4 games and he's got 3 assists and a goal. He's playing every week at a high level.
Playing really well.
Really well every week, but he's playing every week. Like, for me, he should be in the squad.
But what happened to your form getting you an England call-up? It doesn't seem that way now, does it? I mean, for people that are close and on the edge of getting, thinking they're going to get a call-up, I mean, I'll go centre-forward with Ollie Watkins. Why is Ollie Watkins not in the squad? I don't get why he constantly brings up them players that he feels comfortable. I mean, even Henderson to a certain extent, you know, he's continuously brought him in. I kind of get it with Henderson. He's playing, but we don't know what level he's playing at. We don't know if he's just going to come back, because he's completely different from the Premier League to coming back to what he was used to playing Premier League and international level. So I can't get my head around some of the decisions he makes, and I think he makes it harder for himself. And this is why there's so much media scrutiny around Gareth Southgate of what he does when he picks his squad.
It just sends the wrong message, doesn't it? Because
Yeah,
it used to be, as you
does.
said there, the best. If you play well for your club, you get rewarded by getting called up for your national team. Just doesn't seem like that's the case.
But has Henderson ever let England down? Has Maguire ever let England down?
No, they haven't, but I think at times you have to look past that, Jules. I think certainly for Henderson, he's playing, so you go, fair enough. But for someone like Harry, who hasn't let England down, if you're not playing for your club, you lose that match sharpness. You can train as much as you want.
But that's always the question, is it? Have they let England down? No, but have they progressed?
Have we won anything?
That's what I mean.
anything?
So it's
Could
not about
it be the
what
next
is it
level
about
we're going
going
to?
to tournaments and going where they haven't let us down. Like that's not what it's about, is it? You've got to look for the progression in not this tournament, the tournament after. Eventually, you want to win a tournament.
Semi-finals, the finals.
We're getting
fine. That's
closer.
fine. They've done brilliant to do that. I'm saying, but now Jordan Henderson is at the wrong end of his career, isn't it? And the decision that he's taken, which is fair enough, to go and play in a league that is at best unproven, and that is the case of it, is that, well, that's not really a progression in terms of trying to go and win the next Euros or go and try and win the World Cup after that. It's like it's got to be a progression within a squad coming through.
If you're Gareth, though, I suppose if we're talking about this maybe being his last major tournament as England manager, is he going to go with the players that have got him as far as he's got?
Yeah,
there's an element of character within a team as well, isn't there? You know, there's that synergy, there's that character. You need some leadership, of course, unless you know those individuals. It seems to me like he's probably going to go down a very similar line for this last one.
On the flip side,
the flip side of that, Raheem Sterling would be in the squad then?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to
Because
say.
he actually picked him when he wasn't really on form.
No.
And now he started the season brilliantly, and he's left him out. Gaz, who'd be a manager, mate?
Of players who are playing and have started the season brilliantly, and I think of 3 players who've gone to new clubs and have just hit the ground: Bellingham, Rice, Maddison. Lee, what a midfield 3 that would be. But would Southgate start them all?
No.
No way.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't do it, would he? I mean, Bellingham's been phenomenal to take the steps he has as such a young man and progress in the way he has and the manner he has. He's absolutely... I mean, it's fantastic to see. It really is, you know, where he's come from. I remember doing his debut as a 16-year-old, and he was special then. You know, to think that he'd come into a side where you just felt that he could just grab a game and he could play pretty much anywhere at the time. But, I mean, going back to that question, Jules, no, it wouldn't happen, would it? I mean, he's the future. He's the future England captain. There's no doubt about that. But playing that 3, I don't think he will.
Do you know, I don't see how you can't play that 3.
No,
You've got Maddison playing as well as anyone in the Premier League. You've got Jude Bellingham, who's basically conquering the biggest side in the world, Europe, in Real Madrid. And you've got Declan Rice, who's playing really well at Arsenal, £100 million. That will win you games. Rather than looking at it on the flip side, like, let's hope we don't lose and to keep it tight, let these guys go and win the game for you, because I think you'll win a lot more games by going on the front foot, because Declan Rice can do that holding role on his own. Yeah. Go and let Bellingham, who's a bit of both, and let Maddison go and win you the game.
But even Rice is getting that into his game. He's he's adapting now, and you can see that he's got a physical presence in the box, can't you? I mean, I go back to when Grealish was sort of getting into the squad, and he was sort of in and out of the squad, and then he started playing, and everyone was like, why is Grealish not playing? But I'm with Ben. If your players at that moment in time are doing it for your club, why shouldn't you be putting them players into your team and going, they're confident, go and do what you're doing for your football clubs. That's where you're going to go and take it to the next level of the stages.
This is Declan Rice looking right at home with that Arsenal midfield. I mean, Jamie, how big an influence is he already having on this side?
I think a massive influence. I think not just as a football player, but I feel that playing in that position, it's a lot about character as well. And I said that that's why I've been so impressed with West Ham, because he seems a real good character. He seems a leader. Someone who wants to take huge responsibility. I've heard him speak already about how much he's learning, and he's been there, a matter of weeks, and he looks to me like a guy who's very receptive to wanting to get better. Not just someone who thinks, I've been sold for over 100 million quid and I've cracked it, I'm here now. He looks to me that doesn't affect him at all. He looks like he loves football. He wants to be the best version of himself, and I think under someone as intense as Mikel Arteta, I feel that it's probably a good match for him, because he wants to be equally as intense. And I think playing for England, for me, you've got to be sort of basing yourself around that midfield that Benty just spoke about. I don't think that will happen, though.
I just think if you're playing against a team who dominate possession, or may have like a Spain or something like that, I don't think you could go with that midfield in, Benty. But I think against maybe, other countries where you're going to have a lot of the ball
tonight.
Possibly. Well, you're away from home. You just don't know, Jules. You're away from home, maybe. Especially at Wembley or something like that, you could give them a run out there, maybe then. And sometimes we are a little bit more pragmatic, because you want to win the game. And Gareth, he might go with 2 6s tonight to start with, and I get that.
Yeah, we're questioning Gareth Southgate, and this might be his last tournament, assuming England get there next summer. All the reports are that he could then call it a day. And reports, Darren, this week that Pep Guardiola may be his successor, or at least the FA would like that. Can you see it?
I mean, I can't see it. I mean, it'd be fantastic for English football, because I believe with the squad of players we've got, if you get him in charge, England win something.
He'd play that 3.
Yeah. He'd play that 3. So I think, listen, it'd be fantastic if Pep would get it. But it depends what route the FA want to go down, because they've spoke about it being another Englishman because of how well it's gone under Gareth. I don't think that should be the case. I don't think you should limit it to just English coaches, because, yes, there's some very good ones out there. But I think if you start to do that, you cause yourself more problems than it's worth. So I think you've still got to keep it open-minded. There's so many good coaches out there. As long as it's the right fit and someone who understands the English culture, then I think you can't go too far wrong.
I think it'd be a perfect fit, I really do. I think if anyone you'd want taking over the country, it'd be him, because I think, he knows the Premier League. He's worked with all these players. He's seen these players week in, week out.
He'd still have a year left on his City contract next summer.
Could he do both? You said that, Benny.
Yeah. Potentially. I mean, listen, half of the squad's in his team. Stones, Foden, Grealish, they're all in his team. So, listen, if the FA have got an inkling that they can get someone of his quality to do even both, or get him to be the next England manager, you have to jump in.
I don't think there'll be many English fans saying we want an English manager.
No.
I think they'll all be retracting their statement, because they could do serious things under Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, England looking to do serious things next summer, assuming they qualify. They're nearly there.